her being in the movie in general, horrible. The entire movie, horrible. Like, what were we doing here? Hi everyone, and welcome back to After Broadway, the podcast where we deep dive into anything and everything musical theater from the comfort of my car. I'm Tara.
I'm Stefania.
And in today's episode, we're back with another ranking episode, and this time it's all about original songs written for movie musicals. Now, I feel like we've kind of talked about doing this like off and on since we started the podcast.
I really think that the original song written for a movie musical is truly a hit or miss, more likely to be a miss endeavor. And we're here today to finally decide why it's a miss.
Well, when we talked about this like a few weeks ago, we discovered that like the renaissance, I guess, of the resurgence of movie musicals, like these songs were great. And then it hit like the 2010s and we were like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I definitely have like a couple minds on why that is. So let's just delve in.
Okay,
so
we have some rules, right?
Okay.
So let's give us the rules for this episode.
Okay, so the rules. So we decided we were going to pick out each of our 3 favorites and 3 least favorites of original songs written for movie musicals. So what that means is a musical that has been on stage and then has been adapted into a movie. Yeah. And they add a song that has not been previously written, that was written specifically for the movie version of this musical. So it didn't exist before, and now they've written it for the movie. Mm-hmm. It has to be integrated into the plot of the movie, which is why we're saying no end credit songs. It has to attempt to drive story forward. And again, it can't be a pre-existing song from the songbook of the composers or, let's say, a cut song from the musical that they've added back in. No, it has to be written specifically for the movie. So it did kind of like limit our options here.
Yeah, and also it's musical to movie. It's not the other way around of movie to musical. So that also kind of like limits us.
That might be interesting to one day talk about too, like when they expand a movie musical into a stage musical, like the added songs that they put in. But
or now, sometimes completely different. Sometimes it's like a completely changed.
They'll switch them around for sure. So back to why I think they're bad now, for the most part. So there's probably 2 reasons. One is like a bit of a generous read and one is like an ungenerous read. So I'll start with the generous one. We found that a lot of the ones from, let's say, older 20, 30, 40 plus year old movies or musicals, we've like looked at with such fondness. And I think part of that is because we don't know the musical any other way. So it's a lot of times they're now in the stage version. They're like a part of the identity of the musical in pop culture. So we don't see them as different from the musical. So that's just like our internal bias. So that's the number one reason why we probably think the older ones are better and the newer ones are bad. The other reason I think the newer ones are bad, and this is probably the ungenerous read, they are trying to win an Oscar. Every person writing these songs is trying to win an Oscar so badly. And they're never thinking, does this serve the movie? Does this serve the narrative? Because most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time, this has been explored when they workshopped the musical. This moment has been explored. It's been decided. Not to say that you have to keep it exactly the same, but a lot of times it feels when you're adding a new song to a movie musical, it is there to be awards bait. It is there to get somebody an EGOT, and it is not there to serve the story as a whole.
It's so interesting because like thinking of that and then thinking of like original movie musicals, no stage adaptations at all, those songs are so much better. I'm just thinking of like The Greatest Showman. Like look at that score, like top to bottom. Those were all written for a movie musical, and it's better than anything Pasek and Paul wrote for the Dear Evan Hansen movie X number of years later.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't that like, and same with like, I'm thinking of Enchanted. I only pull up Enchanted because like we know that there are 3 songs being written for part 1 and part 2 of Wicked. I don't know like how many are in which, but it will be 3 brand new songs added to Wicked. And then thinking of Enchanted, also written by Stephen Schwartz, like those songs, amazing. So like, why does it work when it's outside of the constraints of a show that already exists instead of inside.
That is very interesting. I mean, maybe maybe this goes back to like kind of the first idea is that we're so kind of committed to a musical as one way, and then to try and add something else into it makes us like uncomfortable. And I also find they always sound out of place. And again, maybe that could be like a bias of knowing a cast recording, and then you hear like a new song in there and you're like, I don't like this. Like I'm thinking even now of, let's say, Heathers, right? Which is, you know, they had the off-Broadway production, now they do the West End production, but there's new songs in there. And when I hear those new songs, I'm like, excuse me, this does not fit. Like, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't, for me, it's not the same musical style as the previous songs, in my opinion. And I find that a lot with these songs written for movie musicals, that the song, because it's written at a different time, in a different mindset, also with like the retrospect of seeing the musical and it having usually success, it impacts the way those songs are written. And I don't think it works usually recently. But maybe in 10 or 15 years, these songs will have a rise and people will be like, I don't remember Cats without Beautiful Ghosts, you know?
Well, I'm sure we'll get to that later.
We'll get to Beautiful Ghosts, don't worry.
But let's start with songs that did work. As you said, we were doing our top 3 favorites and then bottom 3 least favorites of these original movie musical songs. So what is your first favorite movie musical song?
Okay, so this is a song in a movie musical. I don't think I've never seen the musical. I can tell you I've never seen the musical. And I also think this movie is kind of bad. However, one of the highlights of the movie is this original song that was not in the original stage production, and that is Cinema Italiano from the movie Nine.
Well, we're starting hot with Nine.
We're starting hot with Cinema Italiano. Look,
I've never seen Nine. I've only seen like portions of Nine.
You don't need to see Nine. It's not good. It's really, really dull, I think. But I do think Cinema Italiano brings energy to this movie that the other songs are not giving. And maybe this is another thing. It is kind of dissonant from the other songs in this musical, but in this case, I think it adds because you're being so dragged down, and then finally you're like, excitement, glitter, sparkles, Kate Hudson, in a way the other songs aren't doing. So I think this song is one of like the high points because it's so different from what else it's
also
giving.
the way that I thought that the movie came first. I had no idea that Nine was on stage first.
Well, it was originally a movie, like a Federico Fellini movie, 8.5, and then it was a musical, 9, and then it was a movie, 9 again.
Movie musical.
A movie musical, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. I have heard that song though, and I've seen like the music video.
She's in like a silver sparkly like.
That's actually a great cast in that movie. Not sure if the movie is good, but the cast is great.
Sophia Loren, Penelope Cruz, Marion Cotillard, Nicole Kidman, Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm missing Fergie. Kate Hudson.
Okay. The first one on my list. This is a movie musical that I love. I also loved it when I saw it on stage, and I think it's just like a staple in Shaman and Whitman's roster of good shows. And that is Lady's Choice from Hairspray. To me, this song, as you had said for like previously about songs not fitting when they're written specifically for, I actually think that this fits in perfectly. It's the same musical style. They're very good at that musical style. That's
Absolutely.
like got a lot of horn, a lot of brass. Like it fits the time period perfectly. And this was also, I think, just stood out for me because, you know, previously in High School Musical 1 and like portions of 2, maybe Zach did sing in 2, but he didn't sing in 1. And then Hairspray comes out and you're like, why didn't he sing in 1? He gave such like a rock star performance in this song. So yeah.
They gave him a lot of vocal training before Hairspray,
Good.
I think. And no, they should, because he had the skills, as seen in many future movie musicals. No, I also love Lady's Choice. I agree, it fits in perfectly. and it establishes the character of Link. Like it lets you get to know him in a way that you don't get to know him as well in the movie.
I also think it's really smart to have him sing this song at like the school dance when we first see like the segregation for the first time in the movie, because one, what a great dance scene that we get. Then we break the barrier of the segregation and everyone starts dancing together for the first time, which like propels the plot for what happens later in the movie. And then also it gives you, like, we're always told that Link is this like rock star character, and in the musical he sings It Takes Two, which is like briefly in the movie, but It Takes Two is not like a rock star number as Ladies' Choices. So I think it was like a good character development song for Link, but they never added it to the musical. No. And I think they could, but also like Hairspray's not really done so much these days anymore.
Yeah, it's Hairspray, it works on stage, but no, in the movie it's a great example of like show don't tell. Like you're being told he's a rock star, but like show us, and they show us, and Zach delivers in that moment. So it's great.
The dancing he does, we get to see like James Marsden, who I think is the real star of Hairspray the movie, like is watching Tracy and Seaweed dance for the first time. Like there's so much that happens in that scene that it's actually hard to believe that number doesn't exist in the musical.
Yeah, for sure. Wow.
So yeah, Ladies' Choice.
Okay, my next song written for the movie is actually one that is now part of... I think I have
the same one.
Probably. Is now part of the stage musical when it's performed, and it is from Godspell. Tara, are we... No, wow. I tried to pick different things from you. It is from
This was on my list and I took it off.
This is from Godspell. This is Beautiful City, usually sung near the end of the show when it's performed as a stage musical. And I just think it has that beautiful, like, gospel sound.
This song is stunning.
Beautiful. The way that the vocals are, like, overlaid with each other. Like, truly stunning. And I think it builds in a way to bring you to the end of the musical. And I also think, these like religious musicals, Stephen Schwartz, we've been talking about him. Stephen Schwartz, like, putting this together. And I think that original cast recording is kind of, missing just a little bit of like bringing everyone together before the end. And I think this like purpose, like, really serves a good purpose of having everyone sing together before, the end of Godspell, which is,
who's
about Jesus.
That sings it in the musical that I love. I can't think. Is it Hunter Parrish?
Yeah, it's Hunter Parrish in the recent cast recording. Gorgeous voice. Good. Stunning voice. I think he's the first person I heard sing it because I hadn't seen the movie before, and I believe it's gotta be Victor Garber in the movie, who plays Jesus. Oh. So yeah, gorgeous, stunning.
So does that mean that when it played in Toronto originally, wait, when did God's... I don't even know if we have
the movie was... So the movie was 1973, but it played Toronto in 1972. So Beautiful City was not in it then.
In the Toronto one. That's what I was wondering, yeah. Huh.
But Victor Garber was. So,
right, yeah.
As we know.
Victor Garber has been with Godspell for many years, it seems. Bring it back.
Bring it back. No, absolutely. Bring Godspell back. Yeah, the last Broadway production was that like kind of 2011 Hunter Parrish, Lindsay Mendez, George Salazar at Circle in the Square, which I think is a nice venue for it because it's like parables.
That was also like the first time that we had seen that Circle could be so like adaptable. There was water on stage. It was I remember I was in New York when it was on, and I feel like I won the Wicked Lottery at that time because I remember seeing the posters for Godspell at the time, like with Lindsay Mendez and everything. Yeah, so everyone was in line for Wicked. No one was in line for Godspell. If I had the knowledge that I have now, maybe I would have been in line for Godspell.
Maybe you would have been in line for Godspell. Maybe, because, you've seen Wicked enough, is what we're saying.
Well, but that was also like, they don't do in-person Wicked Lotteries anymore. So that was a whole, no.
They don't?
No,
Does
COVID killed it.
Lottery?
Yeah, COVID killed all the in-person lotteries, I think. So that was just like a different place in time when you would watch what they had, like the bingo ball
Yeah.
situation where they would like pull. I was like, what a time. That does not exist anymore.
You had to show up on the day. Yes, I only ever did an in-person lottery here in Toronto, actually. This is like a tangent, but for the Book of Mormon, I did an in-person lottery and I did win. So
I know.
I've attended one in-person lottery and I won it. So we never need to go back.
We've won a few lotteries like via app.
Online.
So yeah. But
It does work.
The community like the communalness of a in-person lottery was always fun. You would like cheer for each other. The funniest thing to me ever, this is truly a tangent now, but like when I went to New York one time with Corey and Tyler, when there was an ice storm in Toronto, so our flight was canceled, but we were able to stay an extra day in New York, and we got like some money via like credit card company because like all of our flights were canceled. We went to just try to see if we could win the lottery for Wicked because they had never seen it, and watching people leave the matinee of Wicked to enter for the evening lottery like immediately as if they didn't just sit through a 3-hour show was actually wild to me.
Again.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think in-person lotteries could come back. Let's bring it back is what the real answer to this entire thing is.
They don't want to be blocking the street off though. That was another big problem with Hamilton, right? Like
true, yeah.
Blocking the street.
Yeah. See, at Circle you can do it because it's that kind of like driveway
Underpass, yeah.
Yeah, so it's fine. Okay, my next song was written for the movie. It is now in the musical, which is where I thought you were going with this, but maybe you're still going with this. And that is the song Listen from Dreamgirls. You don't have it, I take it.
I don't have it on my list because I know how passionate you are about Dreamgirls, and I didn't want to
might have 2 Dreamgirls on my list.
This isn't even my favorite one from Dreamgirls, but go on.
It's also not my favorite one. My favorite one is coming.
Go on.
This song... written by Beyonce and a bunch of other people, but I feel like when it was added to the movie, sung by Beyonce, the character Dina sings it, I think everyone was like, oh my god. 1, Beyonce's in this like movie musical making her like movie musical debut, and then 2, she's like wailing this incredible song that was written for the movie. So it did go into the musical version in the West End, because when I saw it, it was in it, and it's sung by Dina and Effie. It's kind of like a little bit of a duet. And I do think, but don't quote me on this, that it happens kind of at a different part of the show. I want to say like way, way closer to the end, whereas this is after there's like a big fight. What's Jamie Foxx's character's name? Curtis?
That sounds right. Curtis.
Yeah. So like Curtis has left. Effie is now with Dina. They want her to record One Night Only, which was written by Effie, and it's like this whole like inner struggle of what do I do, and it literally is just like Beyonce in a recording studio in the movie, just like belting this for her life.
I think I've seen this movie one time, but I have this memory of like a shot of like Beyonce's face in profile and like Jamie Foxx's face in profile.
Yes.
And she's like singing. Vivid.
Yes.
Vivid. Look, all I have to say about this is I am alone at a crossroads. I'm not at home in my own home. And I've tried to say what's on my mind.
I also would like to say that it was added to Beyonce's like album at the time, which I don't even know what album that was. But then she also sang it everywhere. She sang it at the Grammys.
Sasha Fierce.
They sang it at the Oscars, but my favorite, like all-time favorite performance is like they sang it it was, I guess, like Dreamgirls was being promoted on Oprah, and all of the cast was there, and then Beyonce sings Listen. It's like the greatest live version of this song I've ever heard. And like we know Beyonce is Beyonce, but like what an incredible song that I think fits so well into this musical. And her vocal range. Yeah.
It's on B-Day for anyone curious. On B-Day.
And I do think because like Beyonce has said before that like she loved Dreamgirls, obviously that's why she joined this project. So the fact that she had a hand in like writing, I think it actually like meant a lot to her to do justice to a score that was already a score that already existed, and a score that was so well loved by like the Black community specifically. So to add this like incredible like R&B belty song for a character that is going through so much from the beginning to the end, like I don't know, I think it fits so well, and I love Listen. It is still something that I listen to all the time.
I remember when they were promoting this movie and Beyonce talked about her audition for Dreamgirls and how she like showed up in full costume because she took it so seriously. She wanted to do this role so badly. And so I don't know. I miss Beyonce in movies. Well, okay. I don't miss Beyonce in all movies, but I miss Beyonce in like this kind of movie that she was like passionate about.
Another one, what a cast. An amazing cast. Everyone was so good in this movie.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was robbed. Eddie Murphy was robbed.
Who won that year? Oh, it was the Little Miss
the
Sunshine year. Wasn't it the Little Miss Sunshine year?
Yes, but who won?
So it must have been like Alan Arkin?
Arkin?
Alan Alda?
Would he have been feature or lead?
Yeah, they'd both be supporting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's who won that year.
Because I don't think Jamie Foxx was nominated. Jennifer Hudson won that year.
Jennifer Hudson did win.
They also gave Dreamgirls like 9 minutes to perform on the Oscars because they had
really?
so many. They had so many original songs.
They had three songs, right?
Yes, which I will talk about another one in a minute. But they have so many original songs.
Right, they had 3 songs. Yes, so like instead of getting 3 minutes, they got the full.
The only other time that's kind of happened is when like Enchanted performed at the Oscars because they also had like so many songs nominated for Best Original Song that year.
Yes, but I don't remember that performance at all.
You don't remember Amy Adams singing like "That's How You Know" and like "Happy Working Song"?
I really don't.
Wow.
Sorry to that.
Sorry to Amy.
Them. Sorry to Amy for whatever she was doing. Okay, wait. I am figuring out who. Alan Arkin won in the year 2006 for being in Little Miss Sunshine, beating Jackie Earle Haley in Little Children, Damon Hansu in Blood Diamond, Mark Wahlberg in The Departed, and Eddie Murphy in Dreamgirls.
Wow, good category.
What a category. Mark Wahlberg for The Departed.
So Eddie Murphy won the Globe because it was obviously like musical comedy versus drama, but a lot of people think that the reason that he didn't win the Oscar was because the controversial movie Norbit came out that same year.
Norbit, oh my God.
Or Norbit? Norbit.
Norbit.
Yes.
Please respect. Put some respect on Norbit's name.
I saw that movie in theaters.
I've never seen Norbit. Sorry, I don't think I've ever seen an Eddie Murphy playing 12 characters movie, but go on.
You've never seen like The Nutty Professor?
No.
Oh my God, Steph. Wow. It's like, I've seen maybe every movie where Eddie Murphy plays 12 different characters. But truly, I think that's like one of the main reasons why he didn't win, because the Academy was like horrified by Norbit.
Biased, if you will. They
did not want to honor. But I think
I was also horrified by Norbit. So,
but that shows like
range,
growth as an actor. What a range that he can play 12 characters in Norbit and then like Jimmy Early in Dreamgirls.
I know. You do always wonder. People do have preconceived notions about certain performers, but
also wasn't that same year's Tropic Thunder? Because that was also
Tropic Thunder was a couple years later.
Another controversial movie.
Robert Downey Jr. was nominated for Best Supporting Actor that year. He did lose to Heath Ledger. Wow. Which is fine. But yeah, I do think there are preconceived notions about actors that go into awarding them at the Oscars or even nominating them. Like I always think about like J-Lo and Hustlers not getting nominated.
Right.
Because like people don't just look at the performance, but they're also thinking about their persona. And I think maybe if they delayed Norbit by 1 year, if we could just push Norbit back by like 6 months.
Although I will be first to say that I don't think J-Lo should have been nominated for an Oscar for Hustlers.
J-Lo and Hustlers was an absolute icon. The fur coat.
That's fine. You can be iconic, but it doesn't need to be Oscar worthy.
It does though. No, but like I truly do feel that like her non-acting persona impacted the way people thought about her in that movie.
She really thought that she was
she wanted
winning.
It.
She really thought she was winning.
She really wanted it. She really wanted it. And that's okay. You can want it.
That's fine.
But yes. Okay.
What is your last one?
My number one. It's actually a song I talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago. But from the movie Cabaret, the song. There's actually a few songs that weren't in the musical and then that were added to the movie. So the first one is actually Maybe This Time,
which is crazy to me.
It is crazy.
That was added.
It was from, I believe, like the Candy and Ebb songbook that they added to the movie. So it actually does not fit this category, which is why it's not the pick. Otherwise, it might have been the pick. Another song that was added to the movie, but wasn't in the musical. Again, these are all now like mainstays in the stage show is Money. Money Makes the World Go Round. And then finally, the one that I've picked, absolute favorite song of mine ever since I heard it from like watching the older students at my dance studio dance to this song, Mine Air. It's quite early in the movie and in the show. It just hits. It's so good. And I think it like really helps establish Sally Bowles' like performance, energy, personality, and like who she is as a performer versus like who she is as a person. So I love that song.
Did you see Corbin Bleu do it the other day at Broadway Backwards?
I did not see Corbin Bleu do it the other day. I didn't even know that happened. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
That's
on
so
YouTube.
funny.
I just saw it yesterday. And it's no Aaron Tveit who did it at Miscast last year, but it's pretty good. Everyone's always like, wow, I forgot that Corbin like lives this and is in this world. Like everyone seems to be shocked when he gives a great performance.
There's like that low-key rumor that he's going to go into Little Shop next. But like, what do we think? What are our thoughts on this?
I don't know. So Matt Doyle just extended till July. Drew Gehling is in it right now as the dentist, which I actually think is fantastic casting. He should have replaced Christian Borle immediately. And
he was busy.
Maud Apatow is still in it, but I don't think she's in it for that much longer. I want to say like end of April. I think Corbin would be great in Little Shop.
Yeah, it would be fun. Is he too handsome? But you know what? What can we do about it? What can we do about it?
Everyone that goes in is not ugly.
I know. It's kind of rude when people are like, oh, no, this is a good Seymour. Oh, you think he's ugly? Oh, you think he's ugly then? Is that what you're telling me? Oh, Gideon Glick, such a good Seymour. Oh, so you think he's ugly?
Yeah.
Please tell me.
What do we think about... Could like Wesley Taylor give us... No, Wesley Taylor's dentist. Never mind.
He's a dentist. He's a dentist.
Let's do it. He's back on Instagram. Let's get him back on Broadway. I'm ready. Or off Broadway.
Anything. Give him a project. I want to see him perform again.
Yeah. He would be a great dentist. He's my next pick.
Post Drew Gehling. Okay, yeah. Tara, what's your number one?
Okay, my number one, also from Dreamgirls. This is truly my favorite song that was written for the movie. This is not in the musical, and it's Love You I Do, sung by Jennifer Hudson in the movie. This was written by Henry Krager, who's the composer of the original Broadway play. So, like, it is written by the same team. Another one that I think fits perfectly into this pre-existing score. Jennifer Hudson maybe sounds the best that she's ever sounded, and I'm telling you exists, but there's something about this song. I just like love it so much. I don't know what it is. I think the instrumental is also really great. It's also her just like falling in love. It's Effie falling in love with Curtis for like the first time. And I don't even know, in my mind, I feel like that character has never even like felt love like that before. And that's why she can express it in such like this joyful way. I don't even care that it's not in the musical because it's like perfect to me. And I don't want to hear anybody else sing it, you know?
I agree. This is my favorite song from the Dreamgirls movie. This song is a bop. Like,
it's so good.
Inject it into my veins. It's so happy. It makes me so happy. I remember being younger and just like having my little iPod Nano and like putting the song on repeat and just like in my bedroom, just dancing to it because it's so much fun. Much fun.
It's so great. I actually think like if we're talking like maybe one of the best movie musicals to exist, I think it might be Dreamgirls. It's so well. I watched it again like kind of recently.
Really?
It's very well done. And again, like I think a lot of that is due to that cast. I don't know. Why does my mind always go straight to Rob Marshall?
I was gonna say, is it Rob Marshall? It can be. Is it Bill Condon? It might be Bill.
I'm gonna look. I will look. It is Bill Condon.
It's Bill Condon. Okay, yeah. Whenever I think it's Rob Marshall, but it's good, it's Bill Condon. Because...
Yeah, but I would just like to read right now that on Wikipedia, Dreamgirls is next to Twilight Saga Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2.
Look, Bill Condon, he knows how to direct a movie. He knows how to direct a movie. I know that was his follow-up project. I was like, wait, what part 2? Okay, no, this is a true tangent. But I, as a true Twilight #1 stan, everyone knows this about me. You come to my house for a sleepover, we're watching Twilight. Like, it's great. So I've seen this. I have all 5 movies on DVD. I've seen the special features so many times. Bill Condon was so passionate about those movies. He was so excited about them, and it just made me love him. You
know what? I feel like he brings that passion to like everything that he does.
But,
why does his name written beside Chicago here? I swear that was Rob Marshall.
Yeah, I thought that was Rob Marshall as well, but you know what?
It's both of them. Directed by Rob Marshall, screenplay by Bill Condon.
Oh, that's why this is the one good Rob Marshall movie. Because Bill Condon wrote it.
Chicago is great.
Chicago's great. We're going to talk about Chicago here for a hot sec, but Chicago is great.
So yeah, Bill Condon did direction and screenplay for Dreamgirls. You know what? Congrats, Bill Condon. Where's your next movie musical? We're waiting. You know what was bad though? Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Bad. Beauty and the Beast. Yes, he wrote The Greatest Showman.
Congrats to Bill Condon.
Congratulations to Bill Condon. Congratulations to Bill Condon.
Sorry, we haven't even mentioned that like Anika Noni Rose was also in Dreamgirls.
Yeah, she's great too.
The other song that, just to like round it out, because I'm pretty sure it's not in your like bottom favorites, but like Patience was also written for Dreamgirls, sung by Eddie Murphy and Anika Noni Rose. Amazing. Another, like, it is truly like wild to me that these 3 songs that were written for this like pre-existing musical fit so perfectly into the movie as if it was there from the time that the show was first written. So like I do think that Dreamgirls holds its spot at the top and Cabaret too, because many of those songs were written post for the first viewing of the musical. So the fact that like each of these had 3 great songs put into it, like, amazing.
No, absolutely. Yes. Part of me is like, well, Dreamgirls is kind of the exception, but let me say, for me, both of those projects, the movie was my first exposure to it. So I didn't know, like, I knew of Cabaret and I knew of the songs, but I've never seen it on stage. I've never seen Dreamgirls on stage either. Like, the movie is my version of it. So it, like, works for me with, like, I don't know another version. Whereas maybe that's like my own bias, but I do agree that I think those songs really,
that's fair, because like I had seen Dreamgirls in theaters. I'd seen it like a few times before I saw it on stage in London, and I was actually a little bit worried about if the movie would be better to me than the musical, because I love that movie so much. Musical was just as good. Amber Riley.
Sure.
Enough said. That was the first time I had been in a theater for like mid-show standing ovation. I'd never like heard a song like And I'm Telling You sung live before and like burst into tears immediately. It was just like a very overwhelming emotional experience for literally everybody in that theater. I feel like everybody went through the Effie's journey together. So, and I think that the movie does such a great job of that storytelling as well. Okay, let's move on to our least favorites, the bottom 3, if
all
you
at
will.
once. Should we do them all at once? I'm thinking we have some overlaps here. I'm thinking this is an overlap.
I mean, what do you mean all at once? Like we both just reveal 3, 2, 1, number 3?
No. I mean, like I say my 3 and you say your 3.
Oh, and then we talk about them?
Yeah,
sure.
Okay.
There's a clear worst song ever written for me, so I hope we have the same one.
It's possible, but maybe not. So the 3 I have, I think are very basic. I think they're very clear. I think you could predict, but in no particular order,
Oh, I have an order.
You have an order? Okay. In no particular order, I will go with my bottom 3 songs ever written, original songs written for movie musicals. And that would be the anonymous ones from Dear Evan Hansen.
We have the exact same list.
That would be Suddenly from Les Miserables. And that would be Beautiful Ghosts from Cats. And that's what I'm talking about. And that's what I'm talking about right there.
In my mind, there's a clear winner here for the worst song ever written. And
is it Beautiful Ghosts?
Suddenly.
Oh, it's Suddenly. Well, I would say Beautiful Ghosts. I would say Beautiful Ghosts. And on this, the day after Taylor's first Night of the Eras tour, for me to besmirch Beautiful Ghosts like this, how dare I? To be honest, where was Beautiful Ghosts? Where was the Cats era in her concert? Imagine she just came out. She's going to do a new song acoustic every night.
It's going to be Beautiful Ghosts.
I hope she comes to Toronto, and I hope that night is Beautiful Ghosts. I hope it is.
No, you don't. Anyway. What a waste of an acoustic song.
I would scream. She does 43 other songs. I would scream if she did Beautiful Ghosts. I don't know if I'd recognize it, but I would scream.
Okay, let's talk about some of these. Let's start with the anonymous ones, Dear Evan Hansen. So there was 2 original songs written for the Dear Evan Hansen movie. It was the anonymous ones, and then the second one that was written...
A Little Closer.
Is it called A Little Closer?
It's called A Little Closer.
So A Little Closer, I think, is actually pretty. But I think the reason that it's pretty is because it's sung by Colton Ryan. Otherwise, I don't think I care about the song at all. I just love Colton and think he sounds really pretty on this song. The way that it's presented in the movie, I mean, we've talked about this movie before. I don't really care for the change of the ending. I don't really care for a lot of what happens in that movie. I do like that Connor gets, like, one more song, but I don't know that it
they had
fits.
to cut Disappear they cut Disappear. So I would rather he sang Disappear.
I also agree with that. And I also think that, again, this is just like a pretty song. I don't know that it necessarily like fits in the roster of the rest of the music. And that's where Anonymous Ones leads us.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting moment because all of these other songs in Dear Evan Hansen are like, people aren't aware that they're singing them. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
they're part of the music. Whereas A Little Closer, it's like he played this in, I don't know, whatever facility he was in, and there was like a video of it that was released, which is like, I don't know. So people are also aware of the song.
Just like thinking about this now, like,
why?
We never get an inkling that Connor was even interested in music at all. So like, this is so like left field of a ending choice.
It is really random.
Anyway, back to the Anonymous Ones. And again, as I said at the beginning of this episode, written by Pasek and Paul, who like and who?
Amanda Stenberg.
Oh, right.
Co-wrote it with them.
But a few years prior to this, like, gave us The Greatest Showman score, which, in my opinion, is, I mean, there's a couple, like, whatever, but, like, flawless. It is a flawless movie musical score.
It suits the project. It suits the style of music for the project. Like, it is...
Okay, it's also one of the best things they've written, though.
Yes, probably.
Smash aside.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to rank Pasek and Paul because I do love them, and yet I don't know if they've had their, like, wow thing yet.
I think like Waving Through a Window is probably a wow.
Probably the closest, but yeah, I'm still
even like You Will Be Found, probably a wow for them.
Yeah, I guess I'm just waiting for like a whole project overall from them that's like feels uniquely like them as opposed to this like, I like them, but this like kind of generic pop style that they mostly sit in. You know what I mean? I'm waiting for something wow. And maybe my closest is actually Dogfight. Which was at the beginning of their career.
Wow, should we be doing a composer series on them?
Yeah, it might be hard. But yes, I would think that would be interesting to talk about them.
But to talk about the Anonymous Ones, I know what they were going for. They were trying to make the character of Alana have more to do. But this also is the scene when we kind of try to diagnose Evan, and I don't care for it. I also just think the song is meh.
That's actually truly the problem, is that it left absolutely zero impression. Not even a bad impression. It left no impression. It left nothing in your brain from this song. Yeah, I don't know if we needed more depth from Alana, to be honest.
It's when she's like talking about how she also has anxiety and like she's taking medication. And I was like, you know, girl, feel for you. But also I don't, like, why are we diagnosing him? I don't want to diagnose him. That's the whole like beauty of the show.
Yes, I want to be able to like, I don't know. For Evan, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think this is maybe one of the like symptoms of the many things that don't work about the Dear Evan Hansen movie. Like, I can't point directly to this, but it is just like another piece in the like,
but this is also
not fitting together.
Like exactly what you were saying at the beginning of this episode. Like those two songs were written for original song nominations that they did not get. But that's the only reason that they were done.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they like cut all these other songs. And I'm like, but
those are
why?
great.
Where is Good For You? Where is Disappear? Where is Anybody Have a Map? Anybody Have a Map? I know why they cut Anybody Have a Map, because Julianne Moore
that song is actually,
that's fine.
If we're going to talk about like bangers of Dear Evan Hansen, Anybody Have a Map?
Anybody have a map? Anybody needs to happen to know how to... Did they sing To Break in a Glove? Why am I like jamming to Anybody Have a Map? Did they sing To Break in a Glove or did they cut that?
No, but I'm fine with that being cut.
That is fine.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think who the dad was.
Also, I'm on the Wikipedia and there was an Anonymous Ones reprise. Did we know about that?
No. And if we did, I blocked it from my memory.
Dang. Wow, why would they do that?
Okay, let's move on.
A Little Closer reprise. Wow.
A Little Closer reprise, I feel like, plays in the credits for some reason.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's right at the end. It's right at the end of the movie.
Okay, let's move on to Beautiful Ghosts, written by Taylor Swift. Not even written by the Lord. So, like, he just let her do whatever she wanted, and she came back with this.
Usually that works out. Usually letting Taylor go nuts is a good thing to do.
Oh, wait, sorry. He did. She wrote the lyrics and music, and he, like, oversaw the music. But you know what? He probably was like, it's Taylor Swift. Whatever.
Yeah. And again, usually this is good. This time, I don't know.
Horrible.
I don't know.
Horrible.
It's just...
her being in the movie in general, horrible. The entire movie, horrible. Like, what were we doing here?
Skimbleshanks
She
really
wanted
cut
not,
was good.
you know, but she did get nominated for the Globe, didn't she?
Did she? She's never been nominated for an Oscar, I don't think. So
She got nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Original Song.
Yeah.
And Globes, horrible. Why did you do that?
because the Globes love to have stars in the audience. She hasn't been nominated for the Oscar, but she has been nominated for multiple Globes.
She was nominated this year, no?
Was she nominated this year for a Globe?
I swear she was. I'm on her. Oh, I have to go to her end of the Wikipedia page. Let's go to her accolades here. Wait,
Accolades.
Golden Globe for. Oh, she was nominated for that. Like, remember that James Corden movie where it was like, I think it was called One Chance. Do you remember this?
No.
She
It's
was
not even
nominated
ringing
for
a single
that.
bell.
Sweeter Than Fiction was the song nominated for One Chance Film Soundtrack in 2013. And
Wasn't she nominated for The Hunger Games?
that song's great. Love that song. Safe and Sound?
A recent
Great.
re-release. A recent
Great.
re-release.
That's a
Taylor
great
Swift's
song.
Power, bringing together the Civil Wars.
So Golden Globe. I swear she was nominated. Oh, sorry. All Too Well was nominated this year.
Oh, in the short film category. Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, never
Which
an Oscar
also-
for Taylor.
And All Too Well should not be nominated for an Oscar.
Well, I do wonder, like, are music videos short films?
but
that's
then
my
all of them should be considered.
Right, that's my question. And I mean, you do have to submit yourself, but it is my question.
Can you win for a Grammy for music videos?
Yeah, I think she did
So
win the
then
Grammy
it should be
for a music video.
You stick to the Grammys, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure what the, like, category is.
Like what the requirements are for the categories.
Yeah,
I agree.
and why some music videos can be nominated for short film and why some aren't.
Yeah. I have nothing good to say about this song. I
No, it's
listened
trash.
to it
And it
during
plays
the
like
movie.
multiple times. Plays multiple times.
Oh, I
in that.
know. It becomes like the theme of the movie. They used it in the trailers.
She was nominated for the song Carolina for Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, you're right.
There we are.
Okay.
There we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Horrible song. I will never listen to it again. Not Carolina. Beautiful Girls.
Yo,
and
I have like a friend from high school who is obsessed with Taylor Swift. We follow him on Instagram. He's a listener. Obsessed with Taylor Swift, and I know that he bought the Cat soundtrack
For
because
this?
He is a completist. He is a completist.
you know what?
of all
Respect
Taylor.
that. But
Respect.
hopefully he knows that it's bad.
I do believe he said he's not sure if he'd ever open it.
That's fine.
But he's a completist.
It's better that
and
way.
that's, what you have to do.
And then to round us out here, which I
Wrap
think
it
is the
up.
worst song
Wrap it
ever
up.
written, but this one was nominated for an Oscar, and that's Suddenly from Les Mis.
Yes.
I could say
it's-
many things about the Les Mis movie, and to me, the worst part of it was Hugh Jackman, and then we get this horrible song that he sings as a solo. I'm like, what are we doing, guys? Suddenly is so bad.
This is one for me that feels so out of place.
Well, he's just like in a horse and carriage singing
Yes,
this
he's
song.
got. It was. I remember correctly. I remember an interview with Hugh Jackman. I remember he was saying this was meant to capture the moment where he decided to like be a father to Cosette.
It says right here, it says, when reading the book in preparation for the film, Tom Hooper realized that one major thing missing was an acknowledgement of the importance of Cosette's love to Valjean, as well as his accepting of fatherhood. No, it wasn't. That wasn't missing from Les Mis. Sorry, not missing.
Yeah, I was actually good. So yes, for me, this one, like, and maybe it's because I knew the Les Mis soundtrack before, but as I was watching this, as this like the music started, I was like, this is not right. This does not sound right. It does not sound right. And so.
It is the same people like that did the musical. It's Claude Michael Schoenberg, and I just
But with like
hate
30
it.
years of distance, you're not in the same mindset. Musical styles are not the same. So it's never going to sound like you wrote it as a piece with all the other songs.
But they did what they needed to do. They got an Oscar nomination.
You know what they did? They did.
But
And
who won that year?
That's a good quest.
I'm gonna look it up.
Sean.
It's the 85th Academy Awards, and Best Original Song went to Ted.
The movie Ted
Yeah,
with Seth MacFarlane and like Mila Kunis.
that's a lie. It did not go to Ted. It went to Skyfall, Adele.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's actually acceptable. Sky high. Yeah.
What else was in here was Before My Time from Chasing Ice. I've never heard of that movie.
Is that like a Al Gore movie?
Oh.
Or am I making that up? Click on it. Click on it.
Let me open a new tab because I don't want to lose my place. It is not Al Gore. That's The Inconvenient Truth. But it is like a docu. Yes, it's Chasing Ice is a 2012 documentary film in the efforts of nature photographer James Balog and his extreme ice survey to publicize the effects of climate change.
Who sang the song?
Written by J. Ralph.
Okay. Who sang it?
Josh Ralph.
Okay, great. No, we don't know.
I don't know
what
who
other songs
this
were nominated.
is.
List all the nominees.
Then it was what I thought was winning for some reason. Everybody Needs a Best Friend from Ted. Music by Walter Murphy. Lyrics by Seth MacFarlane. I believe performed by Seth MacFarlane. Yeah. Pi's Lullaby from Life of Pi. Sure. And then Suddenly from Les Mis. What a bad year. Also, oh my God, Les Mis won sound mixing, and that is a mistake. I know they sang live. They
were really obsessed with the live singing.
But the live singing also gave us like not great performances from Amanda Seyfried, Eddie Redmayne, and Hugh Jackman.
I remember when I watched this movie, right? I saw the movie in theaters. I saw it twice, I think in the same week.
Same.
Emotionally wrecked me. Sobbing.
Oh, sure.
Sobbing.
But then when I went back to listen... bad.
At the time, I didn't. Now I know. But at the time, I was in. And then I went to listen to the soundtrack like a few days later, and you're like, oh no. But like, that's
Russell Crowe?
Honestly, Russell Crowe was not the one. It was Hugh Jackman who was really like, ugh.
Hugh has never sounded worse.
It was a little high for him, I thought. Those songs were a bit high.
It just it didn't fit well in his range. I don't think most things fit well in his range, but I maybe
The Greatest Showman was perfect. The Greatest Showman was perfect for his range.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. You're right.
Speak on it. Speak on him. But that's the thing, like when you're watching a musical, like on stage, people's voices don't have to be perfect because they're performed, but when you're listening to a recording,
it's so bad.
You want it to be perfect. You want it to be perfect. But I also, maybe like a week after, I did listen to like the finale on my my iPod Touch. We're back to her, my best friend. I had a pink one, then I lost the pink one, and then I had a green one. But I was listening to the final song in my bed at like 1 a.m. Amanda Seyfried is warbling. I am crying the hardest I've ever cried in my life. I am sobbing. I am full like devastation.
That Oscar performance is good. They called on like Ramin to come in because he was doing it in the West End at the time. Like obviously Aaron Tveit was in the Oscar and the movie. Aaron and Samantha Barks like saved the vocals of the movie.
Before the movie started, I remember seeing it in theaters, and I'd be like, Mom, Aaron Tveit is in this movie, and he's going to be the best one. You have to watch him. He was the best one. She's like, who's that? And I'm like, well, you'll see. And then after the movie, I was like, that guy in the red coat, who was he? And I was like, I told you about this.
Bad wig, though. Bad wig.
Well, whatever.
The other star of that movie was the kid who played...
oh, yeah. What is his name? Daniel something?
And then he was in the Into the Woods movie, which he wasn't tragic, but like he was so good in the Les Mis movie.
What is he doing now?
Eddie Redmayne also bad. Sorry, Eddie.
Eddie, Eddie was Eddie. he has a Kermit the Frog vocal. We've spoken about Eddie singing recently. We've spoken about so much of Eddie singing recently. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
No, the performance that he's giving on the Cabaret cast recording is everything to me. It's so unhinged in the best way possible that like if Eddie doesn't transfer to Broadway, if the show ever transfers, I'd be like devastated.
I know. I
do
love Jessie
live.
Buckley, but I would be more committed to seeing Eddie than Jessie Buckley.
It's unhinged. It's chaos. He should have been giving that for Marius.
I don't know if he had it in him then. As you get older, you become more deranged, I think.
Yeah.
It's true with me. So I think it's been true with Eddie as well. Like, he couldn't give that performance when 10 years ago when they were making Les Mis, but he could give it now.
But also, like, Marius is a totally different character.
very different. Very different.
But his empty chairs, we're all, like, to go more into the, like, Les Mis movie, the, like, angle it was on the whole time.
He's just sitting, there are empty chairs and empty chairs around him. I think I talked about this when I talked about Daisy Jones and the Six, but Sam Claflin did talk about
Yeah, you
auditioning
said.
for this, and he said he was in like the waiting room to go in, and he heard them offer Eddie Redmayne the job while he was like waiting to go in for.
Was Sam Claflin like part of that like British gang, like with Andrew Garfield and
Robert?
think no, was it Robert Pattinson?
No, Robert Pattinson. Yes.
Someone else was in that gang of guys.
Andrew Garfield.
They all like lived
Robert
together.
Pattinson. Okay, so there's like kind of like two age groups, like the James Corden, Jamie Dornan.
No, not them. Oh, Jamie Dornan was one of them.
Dominic. Oh yeah, maybe. Jamie Dornan was on like a show recently where he was talking about how he would paint pottery, and him and Eddie Redmayne would go paint pottery together all the time. And so Eddie Redmayne sent him a picture of him painting pottery. Maybe them.
Yeah, I think it's Eddie Redmayne. Here, it's Jamie Dornan, Eddie Redmayne, Robert Pattinson, Andrew Garfield,
Tom Sturridge.
And who's the guy that plays Daredevil, the new Daredevil?
Oh,
him too.
Matt Murdock's the character. Charlie.
Yeah. There's an amazing picture of Jamie Dornan and Andrew Garfield that, like, they just look like frat bros, and I'm obsessed. You know what? Knowing that Andrew Garfield has the range, maybe he could have been Marius.
What was he doing at the time? What was he doing in 2012? Spider-Man is what he was doing at the time.
Worse, but better.
I love those Spider-Man movies.
I am obsessed. I've seen them many, many times. CTV always plays those Spider-Mans.
Some other songs to just, like, discuss. Grease. Grease has two iconic ones. I can't believe neither of us talked about it, but You're the One That I Want and Hopelessly Devoted to You, both written for the movie.
That's iconic. Hopelessly Devoted was maybe like number 4 on my list of like top if we were going to do it, but I also just like don't love Grease.
Grease is fine, but I think for pure iconicness, those two songs probably
truly
eclipse
iconic.
anything we talked about today.
And
like,
also, both of them added to the musical immediately after. So
Hopelessly Devoted to You was nominated for an Oscar, but it lost to Last Dance by Donna Summer.
Last Dance. Wow, Summer.
There's a new song in Chicago called I Move On. It was also Oscar nominated, but it lost to Lose Yourself, which again, correct.
Correct.
There's a new song in The Producers, Bye Bye Birdie. I Have Confidence in the Sound of Music was written for the movie. Did you know that?
I saw that. Yeah.
There's a song in Evita. So ALW, very guilty of this. And back to ALW, Phantom of the Opera, the song Learn to Be Lonely.
That was a credit song, right?
Possibly? I don't know.
It's been a minute since I've seen that Phantom of the Opera. Well.
It was Oscar nominated, and back to Beyonce was performed at the ceremony by Beyonce.
Why?
Don't ask me. Do not ask me. It just was. This is when Beyonce was being seen. You know.
Also,
what I mean?
back to Dreamgirls for a second. Didn't they lose out on all 3 of those songs?
Yes. So that was the thing. I think it ended up splitting the vote. They submitted. So now I think movies are much more strategic about what they submit, sometimes to their detriment. Like, for example, Coco last year, they submitted.
Not last
they picked
year.
one song.
More than last year.
Last year?
No, it's been a few years since.
Honestly,
Coco.
I don't remember. I don't know. Not Coco. I'm not thinking of Coco. Encanto.
Oh, Encanto. Yeah, I was like,
I'm thinking of Encanto. Sorry, that's a little bit. That's a little bit microaggression of me. Yeah. Encanto. Encanto. They only submitted one song.
Was it? We don't talk about Bruno.
No, they submitted Dos Oreguitas.
Oh, right.
They should have submitted, but they didn't know how viral We Don't Talk About Bruno would have gone.
No one did.
So they picked one song to try and like narrow their chances, but it ended up like working against them because it wasn't the song. So yeah. And then there's also end credit songs, or is there other?
No, I wanted to look up who won Best Original Song the year of Dreamgirls.
Like a random documentary.
Which was
that one an Inconvenient Truth?
Yes, it was. The Al Gore.
I knew I'd seen an Inconvenient Truth somewhere today.
It was I Need to Wake Up by Melissa Etheridge.
Which is love her.
Giving the same vibe as Diane Warren, so you know.
Look, Diane Warren, we need to give Diane Warren an Oscar just so she will stop trying.
She got an honorary Oscar this year.
That's not enough.
Well, the song that she did this year was also terrible.
This year was bad. Let's talk about end credit songs.
Well, there's a clear winner for me, and it is truly the best end credit song ever written for a movie musical, and it's come so far from Hairspray. Every version is iconic. The movie version with like Queen Latifah and Nikki Blonsky, Zac Efron, James Marsden, Michelle Pfeiffer, all of them singing it. But then I also love the Hairspray live version with Ariana Grande and Jennifer Hudson singing it. Like, it's so much fun. Another one that fits perfectly into the Hairspray like canon of music. Shaman and Whitman are successful at writing songs for pre-existing music years later for themselves.
I think it's because they stick to that 50s, 60s genre. They do not really leave that 50s, 60s genre. It suits them. It's good. But everything they do is in that. So they're never out of the zone.
And just thinking of them, like, for this year, like, Let's Be Bad fitting into Some Like It Hot, that song was already written, and then they wrote an entirely new score for Some Like It Hot, and it, like, everything fits. It's the same 50s, 60s
They know what they're
genre.
good at, and they stick to it. You know, Hairspray.
Good for them.
Catch Me If You Can. Did you hear about Catch Me If You Can, that he was actually lying about the whole thing? He was scamming being a scam artist.
Oh, I know. This? Yes. I did hear about this.
That's the biggest scam of all.
Yeah.
Some Like It Hot, like, they all fit into that same genre of music. And so they're not progressing as much, which is good in some ways and then also a little bit boring in other ways. But
yeah. Another end credit song, terrible. The Prom, Wear Your Crown.
Wear Your Crown.
Horrible. I think with that, that's our list. But also, like, is there a new movie musical coming out this year? I don't think so.
Yeah, we had such a plethora, and now we're in a dearth.
I know there's, like, always so many, like, oh, that's a lie. Mean Girls is coming soon. But I don't think they're adding any songs to that. But I do think Mean Girls is it this year? I want to say it's early 2020.
It's probably going to be 2024.
But, like, January, Feb.
Oh, really? 2024 is also allegedly giving us Wicked Part 1.
So we will get maybe a new song there, too.
We'll get some new, apparently 3 per movie is what I've heard.
Oh, 3 per movie? I thought it was 3 total.
I've heard 3 per movie.
Steven.
But what do I know? I actually know nothing. I'm honestly, like, still skeptical these exist. I think they're spending millions of dollars, and then we're never going to see them. But that's okay.
They released the font this week, and someone was like, it's giving Haunted Mansion. I'm like, you know what? You're right. It is.
It's giving Haunted Mansion. It is giving Haunted Mansion.
It's very, like, gothic. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. We were just saying, like, before we started recording, like, we haven't seen anything. We've only, like, seen John Chu tweet every other day, but like that's
they're so secretive about it still.
Yeah,
like,
it's wild.
So obviously I listen to Bowen Yang on his podcast, and he, like, does not talk about it. Like, the
NDAs they must have signed.
The NDAs. He had a guest on, I can't remember who now, but they were talking about auditioning for the Wicked movie. Matt, his co-host, and the guest were both talking about how they auditioned for the Wicked movie, and Bowen is not saying anything. Like, and I'm like, we know you auditioned too, but he is just, like, so tight-lipped about it.
But, like, it's been announced that he's in it.
Yes, but I think they're, like, probably all stressed. He went on Instagram Live and people were asking him questions. He's like, I can't say anything. No,
and even, like, the photos that, like, Ariana Grande puts up on Instagram are, like, half her face. Like, we're not seeing anything. We know she's blonde, even though we've said on previous episodes, like, she's obviously going to wear a wig. So I don't know why she's blonde for real.
She just wants to get into the mindset of a blonde.
Yeah. It just seems like it's a very, like, intense shooting schedule. Actually, on day of episode record, which is March 18th, John Chu tweeted this morning being like, we're halfway through. So...
Halfway through movie 1 or halfway through the entire process?
Halfway through. Whatever that means.
I just don't believe it because they only started in December. So I thought
they started in September.
Maybe they started filming in December, but they probably started rehearsals earlier.
I don't know. Like, all this to say, I'm going to hate these movies when they come out.
It is interesting. Yeah, I don't know what the vibe is. I do know that one of my favorites, Christopher Scott, is doing the choreography, a frequent, like, collaborator with John Chu. And I love Christopher Scott. He did In the Heights as well. But I don't know if he is quite the vibe, is the energy that I'm just worried looking for Wicked.
This is also one of those cases that, like, I have such a attachment to Wicked as a project that, like, if it's not exactly how I want it to be, I'm going to be disappointed. And it's not going to be exactly how I want it to be. So I'm already going to be disappointed.
I can't even picture how they're going to make her fly.
I
cannot even picture it.
But maybe we'll have to do another one of these episodes when those 6 potential songs comes out. We'll rank those. We'll rank top and bottom of the 6 songs.
Yes. We're going to do an episode on part 1, and then when the second movie comes out, we're doing an episode on part 2, because...
Wow, the faith that you have that this podcast will last till 2025, I love it. It will. We'll still be
here.
We'll
be here. We have to be here. That will actually be our final episode.
No. It will be like December 2025. Imagine, what a way to go out.
What a way to go out. We would have been doing it for almost 6 years, 7 years. Anyway,
we'll be continuing.
Can't wait.
There is no end date to this podcast at this time.
There's no end date.
TBD.
Can't wait.
That's our thoughts on original songs written for movie musicals. As we said at the beginning of this episode, really not a big list to choose from here. There's like maybe 20 songs max. So it was a little bit harder. I actually think it's funny that we had the exact same bottom list because
they're
truly
horrible.
They're awful songs.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
They're so bad. There was no other songs I could pick for the bottom.
It's true. And with that being said, it is now time for our obsession of the week. Okay, Steph.
Okay, so I'm going to go first. And my obsession of the week is actually the marketing campaign for Shucked the Musical.
Oh my God. This is very topical.
It is quite topical.
There's a lot going on Twitter today.
There's a lot going on. I think the way that Shucked the Musical is marketing their musical, their Broadway show is going to, maybe this is hyperbole right now, but is going to change the way theater marketing happens.
I don't agree with you.
You don't agree?
It's very specific to this kind of a show. We are not going to see like Sweeney Todd do this.
Okay, maybe not, but it is kind of specific to the show. But what I think is, so the best way that we know to advertise a show is honestly word of mouth, right? Mm-hmm. But the hard part about it is actually getting people into seats in the first place to get that word of mouth started. And so Shucked is like, you know what? Let's get a bunch of people in the seats because we know that our product is strong. We know that our show is good. We just need to get people to see it, and then they will do the work for us. So they've been inviting influencers. They've been inviting press. They've been inviting everyone. They have good social media presence. And I love that they are really like trying to become the people's show. And everything about it looks so fun. Like everything about the marketing campaign just makes me like happy. It makes me want to go. It makes me want to have a party. I think they're
I got Shucked buttons.
Amazing. I love a pin. Love. Like every person who goes, I'm like, I'm so jealous. I want to be at Shucked. And I also think they've advertised it. It also reminds me like a little bit of the log line for the band's visit, where they're like, it's a show about nothing. This is like, it's a show about corn. They're very specifically telling you, this is a show, it's literally just about corn.
Two completely different shows. Two very different shows. Different marketing campaigns.
But the log lines are like, it's literally just about corn. Don't come in expecting anything else. It's about corn. It's about corn. It's just about corn.
I'd actually like to talk about the influencer for a second, because there's a lot of like hate for some reason right now around theater influencers. And like, are we theater influencers? No. But we're also like not
adjacent.
Theater influencers.
We're adjacent.
Yeah, like we don't post reviews. I mean, we do post reviews online, like welcome to the episode, but like we don't post like TikTok reviews. We don't post like 1-minute videos. We do post some stuff on our TikTok and some stuff on our Instagram pages. But like, what's wrong with a musical theater influencer, and why is everyone hating right now? Is like, to me, the fact that like people are inviting, as you were saying, like Shucked is inviting influencers into their seats. Every show invites critics into their seats. Why is this now suddenly like a bad thing that like as soon as a younger population is getting invited to places, it's like no longer acceptable?
Yes, like people are used to a certain like gate-kept community of people being invited to see shows, review shows, have influence on the shows that we should see. But this, and they're not the first show to do this, but I think they're just the first show to be like so like open about it, or to be so obvious. I don't know. It just seems to be like overwhelming about this show. To kind of open up to cast such a wider net onto who they're inviting into their space. In the first place, a more diverse group of people they're inviting in terms of race, in terms of age, and it's reflected as what's on stage. So I think it's good to have more people's opinions, because you can still read the people you always read, but now you have someone else and you can compare them and you can say, who am I more similar to, whose taste aligns with mine.
This kind of all started because yesterday a tweet went out. I'm not going to say the person's name because I think they're already getting a lot of hate online and we don't need to add to that. But it says, I'm worried that at Shucked Musical has contracted independent musical theater digital influencers to do grassroots marketing for them, and I don't like it. Explain more. Why don't you like it? And again, as you were saying this, it made me think of, this was a few years now, but when Be More Chill did a West End run, they went specifically to YouTubers and contracted them to be vloggers for that show, which makes 100% perfect sense because it was a digital show and they were trying to get a social media presence. So who are we going to go to? Our theater YouTubers who had a decently big following. And for the time being, it really did help their show. I can think of the same thing for like, the West End does this a lot. They had a couple people do it for Six. They had a couple people do it for Heathers recently, because it's like, why not capitalize on people to get that demographic into your audiences? Like, I just really, and this goes for like non-theater influencers too, but like people look down on the influencer and I'm like, they're doing the real work here. Like,
It's just a newer form of marketing. Like, if you wouldn't look down, I actually don't think any of the people that they've invited to, like, preview performances or rehearsal footage have been paid. I think they've been just invited. I don't know, but I don't think they've been paid. But what is the difference between paying someone to do a sponsored post versus making your own post and sponsoring it, promoting it, pushing it to the top of an Instagram algorithm?
As far as I know, yeah, I agree. And as far as I know, like the payment is tickets. Like that's what the payment is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think they've been invited, but I don't think they're receiving funds in exchange for this. And you know, it's not the same, but we've talked about it. We recently went to Rock of Ages Media Night, right? We were like invited. The tickets were free of cost for us, but no one told us what we had to say. No. Like, we could come on here and say anything, and we did. No one, like, for the most part, no one is telling you what to say.
Because
when money is exchanging hands, there's a little bit more control. But
I don't even
no
think
one told us what to say.
You know why? Press is press, good or bad. The name gets out there.
But yeah, like so there's a difference between like press and marketing, right? Press money never exchanges hands, and marketing money does exchange hands, right? And those are just different things.
But like good reviews, bad reviews, if I'm talking about your show, it's going to entice someone to see it, whether I liked it or not.
Sure. Yeah, it might make it more.
Sometimes I see things and hear that something is horrible. I'm like, gotta see it for myself. Like Bad Cinderella, why aren't you paying influencers or giving them tickets?
They need to be inviting people. Maybe they're worried about the word of mouth on Bad Cinderella.
And I will say, their Twitter campaign right now, really good. Another show that did it really well. Diana. It got great word of mouth for maybe the wrong reasons, but it got people in their seats.
I think Diana like turned it around too late. I think Diana didn't realize what they had until it was like almost too late for them.
And not to put Shucked in the same category as Bad Cinderella and Diana, because like I do think it's probably a far better show with a better book
from what we've
and
heard,
score.
From what we've heard, it's wonderful.
Everything, although like Diana is queen to me, so that's fine. But I just am like tired of people like putting down the influencer because like it's a generational thing. Like, get over it.
It's just a new form of marketing. It is
like you were invited as a critic to the same show as me being invited as an influencer to the show. You know what I mean? Like, we are the same. It doesn't matter.
But yeah, it's a little bit frustrating to watch, to see people say that. But I also think it's working great. It's made me want to see Shucked like as soon as I can. I don't know when I will, but like it has pushed Shucked to the top of my list.
Wow.
Somewhat at the top of my list of things to see.
And also the people that are going dressed as corn, love you.
That's fun. I love that. I love it. It's good. Okay, moving on. Tara, what's your obsession this week?
Okay, this is musical theater adjacent. It's also very topical because it's currently happening right now. But, like, how could I not talk about what's happening at the Marriott Marquis Theater currently? And that is the Jonas Brothers Broadway residency. If you've ever thought of two things happening at the same time that are in my world, it's this. I am devastated that I'm not in New York to see their run on Broadway, although I did see Nick Jonas and How to Succeed on Broadway, so I have seen a brother on Broadway. Anyway, this is not the true obsession of the week, but I will say, if anyone has an extra playbill, like, send it my way, because I, like, need it from any of the nights. They are selling the full set for $90 on Playbill, but I just can't spend $90.
That's actually not that bad when you think about it.
No, but they all say the same thing inside, and I could Photoshop them myself.
It's just different covers? That's kind of annoying.
It's just the different album covers, yeah. So... I did see, though, did you see on Tim's TikTok that he made them wooden ticket stubs because they were opening on Broadway? So
that's
he
cute.
also
I didn't see it.
Like treated it the same as it was like an opening night. Yeah.
It is the same.
But my obsession of the week, and I know it's something that you love too, because I also feel like this specific performance is kind of musical theater adjacent. As you know, in 2020, when did we see Jonas Brothers? 2019?
Yeah, 2019.
2020? In 2019, I feel like Jealous by Nick Jonas became Jealous by Joe Jonas, and I will always stand by that Jealous is now Joe's song, but we were given an amazing version of Jealous, and I'm talking about the gospel version of Jealous.
Oh god, the gospel version of Jealous.
My obsession of the week. I do think it's like kind of musical theater adjacent because I think that like gospel music there's like a theatrical element to it. Sure. And specifically this performance is like incredibly theatrical. I've watched that video so many times. You and I have watched that video so many times.
At one point I had like ripped it from YouTube and put it on back to the iPod Nano. We're back to the iPod Nano.
But it has like 33 million views on YouTube, and I swear I'm like 3 million of those 33 million views. It's so good. Everyone singing in it sounds good. They obviously don't say hellish because it's a gospel like version.
They also don't say sexy.
They don't say sexy either. They say like it's my right to be. Oh my god, what do they say? I don't know. But
he says crazy beautiful instead of sexy beautiful.
Yeah, you're too crazy beautiful. I think they say it's my right. I can't help it. I still get jealous.
You're probably right. The clean version of Jealous.
The clean version.
Clean.
If no one's ever listened
Cutting
to
the word
it,
sexy and hellish.
If no one's ever listened to it, like, here you go for audio listeners, but, like, watch the video as well. It's, like, one of Nick's best performances, and sometimes I think he's, like, truly so annoying, and I, like, cannot stand him, but his voice really suits, like, R&B tones. I don't know. I love this version of the song. I could listen to it daily. So it's, like, a joint obsession of, like, the Jonas Brothers on Broadway right now, and also Jealous gospel version. I hope they're not going to do a residency in Toronto, but, like, I would be there if it happened.
No. They said they're announcing a tour, but...
The answer, I think, is that we need to go to Vegas, because I think those shows are probably really fun.
I'm sure, but how expensive? Everything's expensive now, you know?
These tickets were expensive. My brother, like, looked the other day, because he's in New York, and it was, like, $600 to go see Happiness Begins, and we paid a lot when we saw it in 2019. We paid like $220, I think, to see them.
Yeah, on the floor.
Yeah.
We paid less the second time we saw it, if I recall. But
it was the same show, though.
It was the same show, and it honestly wasn't as good.
No, it wasn't.
Beginning of the tour is always better than end of the tour, like straight up. BB Rexa, which we saw both times, truly was performing the first time and was going through the motions the second time.
Yeah. But I love the idea of, like, performing an album a night. It's kind of similar to what, like, Taylor's doing with Eras, although she's doing it all in one night. But, like, we're at that point in their careers that they have so much music, and it's just really fun, and you get to, like, relive all of those moments. So I love it, and can't believe that Kevin Jonas finally made his Broadway debut all of these years later.
After Nick and Joe have already done it. Nick and Joe really...
Nick's done it a few times now.
Yes. So, Joe just in what? La Boheme?
La Boheme. Yeah, I remember because I did watch their documentary again last night that Joe said that his first theater debut was off-Broadway in Oliver as the Artful Dodger.
Wow. Look at that. How cute.
So, what a theatrical family, except for Kevin. But,
except for Kevin. Kevin is my favorite, though. And Kevin deserves.
Remains at the top of the list for you. So yeah, that's our obsession of the week. That's also our episode on original songs written for movie musicals. This is the first ranking episode of the year, and we would love to do more of them. So as always, let us know what you would like to hear. And you can also listen to our previous ranking episodes by subscribing to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. And we also have a portion on YouTube where all of our ranking episodes live, so you can subscribe to us over there, and we'd really appreciate it if you left us a comment.
And you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Off2BOA Podcast with the number 2. We're more active on Instagram, so send us a message, a DM over there.
Yeah. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.